It's not going to be this easy every day. There's no way. 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 There's no way.
Hey there, I'm Chris. I'm a baker, a cyclist, a psychology professor, and a poker player. Despite having plenty of experience at higher stakes, I recently gave myself a low stakes challenge to play 300 hours of 1-3 no limit hold'em in a single month with the goal of earning $10,000. This is 10K May.
Morning of day 2, May 2nd. We've had a pretty good night's sleep, good enough. And we've had a nice walk, and we've had a coffee this morning. It's like a steel gray day out here in the Northeast. Feeling good about being ahead of schedule, both hours-wise and money-wise, of course, coming into today. There's going to be setbacks. I hope today is not one. It would be great to put 2 good days in a row together. Not sure what the strategy is for tackling the day today. Not sure if I'm going to play one long one or if I'm going to break it up into 2 sessions. But we don't need to decide yet. We can just, I was going to say we can ease into it, but we can't ease into it too much because we have to keep hitting it. This is a daunting schedule we've created for ourselves. It's not going to be easy. So we need to get at least 8 hours in the day, but really we ought to get 10 or 11 hours in just to make sure we've got some cushion, some margin. All right, we got our little 1-3 buy-in of $500 and got some reserve in the pocket. The 1-3 game that's running is the same game I left last night, so there's a lot of chips on the table. I don't know if I'm likely to get into that or a new game. Either way is fine, I don't care. Man, it would be nice to run 1/3 as good as we ran yesterday. I mean, we ran crazy good yesterday, so probably won't run that good, but maybe. All right, we're only an hour into this session, and it's great. We're at the same table we were at all day yesterday. The game's been running overnight. It's new faces, but there's a lot of action. Not a lot of action. There's a lot of chips on the table. There's a lot of passive action, so it's a great game. Our second hand that we played, there's a raise from middle position to 15, and there's a bunch of calls. And we have ace-4 spades in the small blind, and we raised it to 110. Guy in the big blind on my left just snap calls, like no hesitation and no thought, leaving himself about 250 behind. Everybody else folds, so it's about 250 on the pot. Pot comes Jack 9-4 with 2 clubs. There's 250 in the pot. He has 250 left. We've made a pair. His hands like 6s, 7s, 8s, 10s are going to be in a tough spot. So we just jam, and he folds. We show the 4. That generated a lot of buzz at the table. And then this hand came up. Several limps. We're on the button, and we have ace-6 of hearts. So we raise ace-6 of hearts. We get 2 callers for 30. There's some limps in there, so it's about 100 to the flop. Flop comes king high, all hearts. So we're still running stupid hot carryover from yesterday. Goes chuck check. We bet half pot, 50. That's pretty much what we're going to do with our whole range. They both call, and they don't take a lot of time to call. The turn is clean. I don't remember what it was. Doesn't matter. It's clean. And now it goes check check. And now I'm looking at my stack, and I'm thinking about the best way to get it all in across the next 2 streets. And it looks to me like 125 is probably the amount. We bet 125, and the guy in early position, he's thinking. I can tell he's got a hand. I'm kind of expecting him. It looks like he's either going to call or maybe jam. Of course, we want him to jam, but he eventually folds. And now the remaining player jams, which we call, of course, and we hold. And he says he had a set, so we want a big one there. So we're only an hour in here, and we've already more than doubled up. So, this is a good time to point out that poker is so easy. All right, so an interesting situation developing at our table now, about 2 hours into this game. Guy on my right, the same guy I stacked when I made the flush, and he had a set. He was down to his last $65. He now has proceeded to wreck everyone but me at the table, and in 30 minutes he's run it up to 1,500. So we are in a very nice position versus this player who, while a nice gentleman, is not a good poker player. So, having a little stroll, and then we're going to come back and hopefully we're going to make some of those chips mine.
Thinking some of that money need to be mine.
The game is going smoothly. The most notable hand, a gentleman who had never opened the pot, opened to 15 from early position. There were 2 calls. We had 8-7 of hearts on the big blind, in the big blind, and we just called. Flop comes 9-9-6, 2 clubs. We check, and this gentleman bets. That's a pretty dangerous flop 4 ways for what I think was aces, but he bets 25. Next 2 players fold. We call. The turn is the 5 of clubs, so we make the straight. It's not the nuts, but it might as well be the nuts. This guy doesn't have a 9 combo. He doesn't have a full house combo. So we check, and he bets 40. And now we want to raise an amount that's going to commit him to putting the rest in on the river. So we raise it to 110, and he thinks a long while, but I got the sense he wasn't really thinking. I don't think he's going to fold. He doesn't fold. He calls. And the river is one I don't like. It was the 7 of clubs, puts a 4-liner out, and now we jam for 220 effective. He kind of shrugs his shoulders and calls like he knows what's coming, but he didn't deliberate. He calls, and we table our hand. He doesn't have to show, and he just pays off. And then he left. He was a very nice gentleman. Almost felt a little bad about it, but that's the game. So that was another big pot our way. We are just in cruise control, kind of like we were yesterday. We're in the game for 500. We currently have 17 on the felt. So almost as soon as we come back from that little update that we did outside, the gentleman on my right, who I was most eager to play with, had racked up and was on his way out. In fact, I saw him on his way out. He was from the cashier, chatted with him a little bit. Very nice guy. And at that point, I felt like the table I was at, like the dynamic had changed, and I thought it'd be a good time to switch tables, which I did. So I moved to another table. Right away, the dynamic at this game is very interesting. There's a hand that goes off the rails immediately where there's a massive multi-way 3-bet pot, and a guy ends up winning it with 4 deuce of clubs. Guy on my left, he says, "In this bullshit game, anything can happen." So, God, that was a terrible job, but yeah, he's funny, and that's clearly his attitude towards the game. So it's a good game. For that, we have ace-queen suited in one of the blinds, and a good player who I recognize opens to 15. We make it 65 from the blinds. He makes it 175, and this is not a guy who has to have the nuts to do this with. He actually has a range here. He can have jacks. He's got all the good hands in range, but I'm not gonna fold to this guy. I'm thinking about I could take a flop. No, I decided, I'd rather run it out. So even though I'm not thrilled with it, I jam, less than 500 with ace-queen suited. He snap calls. Ace comes on the flop. He says no ace. I say I have an ace. He took the beat like a gentleman. Very good chance he had kings. Maybe jacks, but probably kings. So, so we continue the sun run here. And now we've got a deep stack on the second table of the day. And the table dynamic is a little wacky, which is cool. I'm really tired. If I wasn't doing this challenge, I'd have gone home an hour or 2 ago. But because I'm doing the challenge, we gotta bank the hours, and we have to not play garbage time. So I'm gonna take frequent breaks here just to stroll for a minute or 2, just hanging in there. We're gonna have a really big day if nothing goes way wrong, but we're tired. Oh, almost forgot. New player joined the table. He's telling the story about the time he and his friends robbed a bank and somebody stole their car while they were robbing the bank. And they came out to find their getaway car gone. You don't get these kind of stories working a 9-to-5 job in an office. You just don't get this. I love it. All right, that ends day 2 of 10K May. Got 12 hours in the day. That's 2 consecutive days of 12 hours. We need to average just under 10 hours a day. So we're trying to bank some hours to give ourselves the chance to, have a half day off or a full day off in the not too distant future. Ran great and crushed it today. We made slightly more than yesterday. Yesterday we made 1,600. Today we made 1,667. So 24 hours in, we are almost 3,300 up. For those of you, hoping some friends of mine who don't really know about poker watch these videos when I post them, this is absurd. You can't win at this rate at these stakes. So we are running crazy hot. This is taxing. I'm pretty tired. It's not so much the play, which is taxing, but it's the inability to do anything else with my time is a big challenge. So far so good, and I feel challenged by it, and it's going good. It's going to be hard, but I think we can reach our goals. That's it. It's time to go to the cashier's cage, and then it's time to find something to eat.